So, it is Tuesday. I'm back. I am excited to see everyone. And remember those times in school where you were afraid to walk through the hall because you saw that person? You saw that person and you felt that feeling. You felt a tightness in your chest. You felt your throat close up. You felt a shiver down your spine. You felt the heat rising through your body and you felt powerless. You felt in fear. And you felt like something bad was going to happen. And that all came from the sight of this bully, of this person that you feared, of that person that would tease you, of that, thank you for the likes, of that charlatan that you just wanted to avoid in every moment at school. Was anyone bullied at school? Did anyone have that fear when they were at school of who they would see, and they knew the exact person, they knew the exact class, they knew where they sat, and they knew how those words that the other person said would hit them? And it happens. I often say I didn't really experience that because I had sisters at home, which were my first line of defense. I mean, I had the bullies right next door to my bedroom. Every time I came out of my bedroom, I had to come out and fight. I had to fight for my life. So by the time I got to school, I was ready. I was ready to fight. I had been way prepared. However, I'm reminded of this because I had just spoken to my niece just prior to jumping on live, and we were speaking about this. And yeah, all my life I had to fight. Now, I'll fight for what's good. I'm only fighting for what I want. So I will definitely always fight for what I want. However, you gotta fight. Because I heard this saying, life is a fight for territory. And the moment you stop fighting for what you want, what you don't want will win the battle. Again, life is a fight for territory. And the moment you stop fighting for what you don't want, what you do want, what you don't want will take over. And why is that? Why is that? Why is it that when we stop fighting for what we want, what we don't want takes over? And especially in the tone of a bully at school. How do you fight? What is your method? Because for me, I've always been able to use my words. And I was always quite tiny. I still am. However, I was always quite tiny. So I did not ever want to physically fight. However, my words were always my boxing gloves. And I love to spar. So if you throw it back at me, yeah, that's true. I am. However, I know how to set a boundary. And this also comes from like the fact of, I enjoy this experience called life. And that sometimes is off-putting to others. Yes, I was the best flight attendant in the world. I actually hold that title, and it's self-titled. I gave myself that title, and I hold it. I've always been able to fight with my words. So as my niece was explaining to me, who's 13, and the experiences she was having. Hi, Detroit Sean, good to see you. I said, well, how are you going about this? And she said, well, I only have 4 weeks and then I'm in high school. And I thought, yeah, okay, that's fantastic. However, thank you for the gifts. What happens when the bully shows up in another form? And I thought about that with life. Oftentimes through our travels or at our jobs, there may be individuals we don't get along with, but we just think, once I leave, once I go home, once I have a different position, once I transfer to a different location, I no longer have to interact with that individual. And there will always be some other individual. And I shared that with my niece. I said, this is fantastic that you will be going to another school, but what happens when it shows up again? What happens when you go to the new school and there's a new set of bullies? What happens when you start working somewhere and you're encountered with something of the same nature? What happens then? Because there comes a time where you have to be the bully to the bully. I believe life will be the bully. So I have to stand up and fight. I have to be able to push back. I have to be able to use my words. Or maybe it will have to be physical, but I have to stand up for myself. And how do we do that? And what I shared with my niece is, well, first, you deserve to occupy any and every space that you occupy. You deserve to be in every space. You fit everywhere. So let's get that notion out of your head that I don't belong here. You belong anywhere you choose to be. You are valued and you are value. And you're loved. And not everyone will see that. It's not for everyone to see. But sometimes you got to stand up and fight. And I definitely remember this for myself. I believe I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and there were some girls that said I talked too proper and all of this. And I thought, so? I've kind of always had that. Like, you told me that yesterday. Why are you telling me this again? However, now I see it that maybe there was something in me that they wish they would have had. And the only way for them to express it was to do it in a way that affected me negatively. And for me to fight was for me not to give it any power. Thank you. To not give it any power at all. In fact, I was still hope. So I would say, like, why are you telling me that again? I would actually say this back to these bullies or these girls at school. Especially in my manner of speaking, I don't care if you don't like how I speak. But that also comes from my sense of self. So I never needed to fight for my ability for you to hear my voice or for you to understand my voice. If you don't understand, so what? What's up, LA? And I'm always prepared to fight. I am not a fighter. I'm a pacifist. I'm as peaceful as they come. However, if I have to, I am prepared to fight. And as I was speaking to my niece, she was reminding me of that time. I mean, adolescence is that weird time. Our bodies are changing, our thoughts are changing, our minds are changing. We're forming our sense of identity, The people around us are forming their sense of identity. Our parents see us differently. Maybe there's a power struggle. But there's a lot of change going on where you're definitely out of childhood and you're still a child. But you have a sense of a little bit of knowing of oneself. And I was a flight attendant for 15 years. And as my niece was explaining to me, I had to share with her that sometimes you got to just push back. Sometimes you got to be within yourself and say, no. Y'all aren't doing this to me today. You got to have that timbre in your voice. You have to stand up strong. You have to look them in the eye and say, no, we aren't doing this. And what does it take to get to that level of standing up to say, no, I'm not doing this? Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Yeah, I have to do that flex. I do that flex often because sometimes you just got to push back on whippersnappers, as I say. Sometimes you got to let people know, nah, you ain't, not me. I've gone through too much. My dreams are too big. You got to pick on someone else. I ain't the one. And have that courage. Yes, Samantha, nice to see you. You have to have that courage to push back, because if you don't, then you will be pushed over. So how do you gain that courage to push back before you're pushed over? First of all, you're always in the right spot to have the courage to push back. There is never a time where you are not firmly rooted in yourself, where you cannot be the bully to the bully. It's not a flower hat. It's my flower crown. My sister is actually in the live. Yes, I was the bully to you, so that is true. However, I had to do that to speak here in this live, Sam. I had to bully you to be here to speak in this live, okay? And I had to share with my niece, Sky. Sometimes you got to say, y'all mofos ain't doing this to me, not anymore, not today. You crazy. Look at you. You ain't dressing good. Your grades aren't good. And you over here trying to mess with me? You trying to mess with me? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not today. Not ever. To step into those shoes of no, this ain't happening, it takes some courage. Because you can always say because Hope told me to. But as I shared with her, yes, you will be going to a new school, but what happens when there's bullies there? You got to be prepared when these things come to you. You got to be prepared when someone wants to pull you out of your energy. You have to be prepared when the point of it all is just to say, I got him. I knocked her over. I made them cry. I took them out of their power. And how do we do that? Yeah, sometimes you have to pretend you're bigger than where you currently believe you are. At times, it's the imagination that will get you to that new space. That new space may not actually be where you feel you are now. But if we are to walk by faith and not by sight, it doesn't matter where you currently are. You may have to play that role until you're actually in that role. And as I shared with her that it shows us what we can become when we choose to step into that space of power. When we step into that space of, I'm not going to allow you to make me feel less than the greatness that I am. And I may not actually feel it, but I have this auntie that said I'm able to just let it out. Sometimes the belief in what you will be is enough for that current moment. So how do we do that? Number one, it's the imagination. I'm imagining that I'm bullying the bully. Because if you don't believe it for yourself, there's something else that you will have to believe in to start walking towards it. And sometimes believing in someone else's belief in you will get you to that next point. That can be a powerful place to be. I also believe saying that means that you believe you can do something more than what you currently are. You can be bigger than where you currently are at. You can. Even the thought of, man, I can say that. I can stand up for myself. I can be more. I will be more. I am more. I am more. It is that flow. It doesn't always happen immediately. It can, but not always. And so to stand up to any bully in life, because life is a bully. As soon as you leave your home, there is some bully that you have to, hello, Mag, that you have to push back from. And as I shared with my niece, I shared with her one of my biggest failures, which she had no idea. And I actually didn't know that this failure was still within me. I didn't know that this failure was sometimes whispering like, Hope, no, because that happened to you. Hope, that's still in you. Hope, you're still labeled as this. And how I used this failure, thank you. What else do you expect? Come on. As I used that failure to push me forward, and this is it. I have always been quite intelligent. However, my intelligence came from me and the encouragement of my family. I always knew that it was me. It wasn't the school district. It wasn't the certifications. It wasn't someone else's stamp of approval. Well, you're about to learn something now. And when I was in like the 3rd grade, I had always tested quite high, and what had happened was the school district wanted to put me in an accelerated program, and my parents were invited to the school to speak to the administrators about putting me in this accelerated program, which was the GATE program, Gifted and Talented Education. And what my father shared with the administrators was this. He said, Hope already has it. Hope already has it. The school doesn't give it to her. So we will keep her in the current school, because if we put her in this program now in 3rd grade, she is then the only child of color in the class. And she already has the intelligence, so she will thrive at every school. The school she's at now is a great school. It's a diverse school. And once she gets to 7th grade, she knows a little bit more about herself, then we will put her in this accelerated program. However, we're not going to do it this young because, again, Hope already has it. The school doesn't give it to her. The teachers don't give it to her. The curriculum doesn't give it to her. She has it. So she'll be successful anywhere she goes. So from 7th grade to 12th grade, I was in this math, engineering, science accelerated program. And it was all of the highest testing, smartest kids from all of the school districts were then put into this school, like a magnet school for the entire time, 7th through 12th grade. And I loved it. However, I always had this voice. So school for me was about socializing and talking and making friends. And I quickly found out that it was much more fun to talk and socialize and ditch class than to actually be in class. It was very fun for me. Also, I always knew that I would be successful in life. I always knew. I love to learn. I'm an avid reader and I'm an avid learner, period. And I remember that my father had always said, she already has it. She will be smart and successful regardless because she has it. And then came 12th grade. And in 12th grade is when I really started hanging out with my friends and ditching and like having parties. So much so that I missed a lot of class. And it came to graduation and they called my parents at home and said, Hope has missed so much school. She is not going to walk with her class. And the shock was, I've always been this very intelligent kid, always been at the top of the class. How is she not going to walk with her class? And I felt so defeated. And I felt so small and full of shame. Because I've always been this smart kid and now I'm not even going to walk with my class. Solely because of my doing. Not because I don't understand the curriculum. Not because I'm not doing the work. Solely because I wasn't showing up. It wasn't... I always knew I would be able to succeed. However, I remember the day that graduation was happening and I was receiving all the calls from the family. Is she gonna walk? Is she gonna walk? I turned in all this extra credit and they said no, she just missed too much class. And I remember saying, this is too big of a failure. This I don't think I could live down. I've gone with these kids through these past 6 years and I don't want to be seen and ridiculed. And you know what? I want to end it all. And I remember being in my bedroom and saying, I am so ashamed. I am so disheartened. I just will end my life. And I remember with that failure, I had grabbed a bottle of Aleve or pain medication and I poured all the pills into my hand. And I thought about it. I said, I don't even have to leave this room. I've already let everyone down. I can just take myself out of the equation. And I remember staring at this mountain of pills in my hand, thinking, this is the best solution. Because I'm not walking across the stage. because I've let my parents down, because I've let my family down, because I've let myself down, because I don't want to face all of these people that have known me as the smartest kid and now they're just going to talk about me. I can just end it now. And I remember that thought dissipating. And I remember that thought dissipating into, no. No. These pills in my hand don't write the story. I write the story. I can rewrite the story. This is just a moment in time. This failure isn't a stop. This is a lesson. This isn't for me to end it all. This is for me to say, oh, I'm going out there and taking it all. I'm going to live. I'm going to live the fullest life, full of prestige, full of fun, full of excitement, expansive, travel the world, create my story, and come back and share it. This isn't the end. I'm going to kick butt for the rest of my life. And I'm going to share that. And I am going to make sure that I live as bright as I can. I'm going to have the best life. I'm going to travel. I just started thinking of everything that I have done. And I put the pills back in the bottle and thought, yeah, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to show everyone how life is fully lived. And I went on to do that. However, that one failure, which I believe was the biggest failure that happened so early, that allowed me to say a failure doesn't mean, it only means what I allow it to mean. For this, it means that I'm living fully. For this, it means that I'm taking over in the way I see it. Again, if my parents said she already has it, then I can create anything. I'm relentless. I will do it. I will push back. I will be my own bully to say, you go, and you go far. This failure does not define you. It can refine you. It can realign you. It can reimagine what I choose to create, but it doesn't define me. And oftentimes individuals let some failure, which is really just a lesson, define them for their entire lives. I refused to do that. And from then on, I just said, no, I'm living and I'm living fully. I'm living and I'm living fully. I'm living and I'm living fully. And that's what I did. And I shared this with my niece because she did not know. She did not know. She's only known me to be the flight attendant and travel with her, and we would go shopping and we would do all these things. She would come out when I would have marathons or all of these things, and she did not know, and she looked like, wow, I didn't know that. Of course you didn't. Why would you know? It doesn't define me. It was a moment in time where I allowed myself to make the decision and I chose this way. That was not going to be my bully. I allowed myself to say, absolutely not. You write your story. You choose. You choose. Not anything else. I get to choose. And what I'm choosing is more than where I am now. It's not for me to see how. It's the fact that I believe it. It's the fact that I believe it. And I'm just going to dream. And no one comes and reminds me of this. No one says, oh, I remember that time you didn't walk with your class, because no one knows. No one cares. It was over 20 years ago. But how often do we allow these failures to define us? It's just like the bully that my niece was telling me about. How much are you going to allow to stop you? When are you going to say, no, not today? No, not ever. Thank you for liking the live. No, this ain't for me. No, I'm bigger than this. No, I get to decide. I get to rewrite. I am recreating. I am limitless. We are limitless potential. We are limitless beings. And we allow ourselves to be limited by lessons, which can be misconstrued as failures. We allow ourselves to be limited by the thoughts and words of others, especially family. That doesn't mean anything. We allow ourselves to be limited because we haven't seen it done before. And maybe we haven't seen it done before because we are the one that needs to do it. So someone else can say, I saw them do it. But too often we allow the bully of life, the bully of the failure, the bully of our limitations, the bully of the voices in our head that are saying we can't do it, the bully of what happened in our past, the bully of I don't have enough money, the bully of I just don't think anyone would allow me to do that. I don't care what anyone allows me to do. Thank you. I'm doing it. I'm doing it because it's me. I'm doing it because I was born to do it. I'm doing it because I haven't seen anybody else do it. So it's for me to do. And I told my niece, sometimes you got to say a big F you. You really have to tuck your lip under your teeth and say, nah, F you. You have to let the spit roll off your lip. You ain't bullying me today, ever. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm the bully. I'm gonna bully you. Get out of my way. What I need is right behind you. And matter of fact, I don't see you because I'm looking past you. Once you're in that power, nothing can stand in your way. And I shared with her, this is the beauty of all this. You're learning. You're 13. Sometimes these things happen to show us the strength that's within ourselves, to call on that strength that needs to rise up, to call on the bigger, badder version of ourselves that is ready to be updated. But it will not come out until you say, that's enough. I'm not being bullied, not by you. Who are you to stop me? Especially if you don't dress well. If you're a bad dresser, get out of my way. You don't have the, come on. Cut it out. You gotta go. You gotta go. I got too much style for you to stand in my way. For real. I didn't quit, I retired. I retired because I always said I would retire at a certain age. Exactly. I make it look good. I say that all the time. Whatever I do, I'm doing it with style. I'm going to make it look good. That's important to me. How dare you try to bully me? You don't even make it look good. Your words don't even have a cadence. Of course I am. That's why I retired, to do another dream. I'm not average. I'm here to prove something. Even that, with me flying and taking retirement, I knew I was ready to go. Why am I going to stand in the way for somebody else who's ready to do it? See, even that, I don't mind if they're not in season, but if you ain't rocking it with style, get out of my way. Too many people with no style want to limit people who are really trying to do something in life. If you ain't got any style, who are you to tell me anything? I don't know what you're referring to when you say, what's that? If you clarify, I can respond. And at times, I shared this with my niece, others see something in you that they want for themselves, but they're not strong enough to step out or show it. So they'll tease or they'll belittle what they can see in you that's really within them. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. The moment that you allow them to win is when we've all lost. That's when we all lost. And I would even say this, like, who are you to tell me anything? I got 2 parents that love me. Why am I over here listening to what you say? I can't get out of my way. I'm trying to get to class. I've always been like that. Now, I've never had anyone push back. Maybe because they thought, well, she just talking so much. I don't know. Maybe she would swing on me. I'm a pacifist. I wouldn't. I will defend myself if need be. However, my words have always been my armor. Get out of the way of the people who are doing the work. And furthermore, that's a sign that you're doing the work and you're on the right path. Because when people come out of the woodwork to stop you, when people come out of the woodwork to tell you what you shouldn't be doing, why they don't like it, why they wouldn't do it, that means you're doing it right. If they're not saying anything, I strongly believe you ain't really doing nothing. How you doing, James? Good to see you. So, yes, bullies exist. Life can be a bully. But it's up to you to stand up. And you were born to stand up. Fantastic. You were born to stand up. You were born to impress yourself. You were born to grow into that new version of you. You were born to lead. You don't even know how many people may be watching you. Yeah, someone may be watching you to see, like, how are they navigating this? Maybe that's how I'll navigate it. Because people are always watching us. We never know how we are influencing someone's life. And at times it's a silent influence. This is why I spoke on integrity. Integrity means a lot to me. And I briefly touched on it the other day where I said, people who say they the it girl or the it guy, no, you're not. Just because you show up stylishly, which is one part, doesn't mean you're the it person. How do you treat people? Do you keep your word? Do you have integrity? Do you do the right thing? Which means doing the right thing when people aren't watching. That is important. That is important. Especially to the younger people who are watching us. We gotta start showing up like the noble people we are. That needs to be the cool element. That you say what you mean and you mean what you say. That if you say, hey, I'm using some money from you, I'm going to pay you back on this day, and you do it. And if you don't have it, you contact them and say, I don't have the money on this day. Can you give me a week later? Sure. You're teaching people. People are watching you. But if you take people's money and then disappear, that, first of all, that'll probably come back to you anyway. But integrity is such a notable aspect of life. And often when I'm around people, I see how other people respond to the people I'm around. What are people saying when you leave the room? Are they not saying anything? Are they saying how you aren't always most truthful? Or are they saying how you've maintained a certain integrity for years? What are people saying when you're not in the room? That's more important than what they say when they see you. That's important. And I stress that because my nieces and nephews are all young, and to have those figures that just kind of do the right thing is so important because they're watching us. They're watching us. How you treat yourself, how you treat others, how you respect other people's space, how you respect other people's stuff, how you talk about other people. Because we're all teaching someone how to treat other people. Do you even think about this? Do you consciously think, like, how do I carry my... Am I speaking highly of people, or do I meet people and as soon as they leave, I say, I hope they fail. I hope they don't make it. Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? That's not being in a space of empowerment. And that may be where you need to be to grow into that space. But I speak about integrity often because it's that important. It's that important. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I saw it with my father and all of these wonderful, knowledgeable, honest, integral men that were around me through my upbringing, whether it was my grandfathers or my uncles, these older men that just had a cadence of integrity. And it's important. Sometimes you aren't. Sometimes you're not the most honest person. That happens. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, everyone says you're such a great person and oh, your father helped me out. He said, yeah, but it depends who you talk to at what age I was. People at 40 are going to say different things than the people that knew me when I was 21. It's a cycle. That's a cycle too. Sometimes you got to get off track to get back on track. However, to stand in a place of empowerment, especially when you're confronted with this bully. Now, the bully may be in your mind. The bully may be, you can't do that. You've never done that. You don't have that experience. You don't have the money. You don't have the training. That could be that bully. Stand up to it. Stand up to it. In fact, most of the time, the bully is us. It's the bully that's in our mind. Thank you for the likes. Yeah. And I've had those people. I remember several people, one in particular, when I was first hired by the airline, who said, why would you do that? I would never do that. Well, okay, because that's you. But what does that have to do with me? Thank you, Marley Mall. Thank you. What does that have to do with me? They don't get paid much. I'm not, listen, money is so low on the food chain as far as wealth for me. Time wealth is actually more important to me. Time wealth, current comfort wealth, communication currency, time currency, love currency. But to only focus on financial currency, no. I will, thank you. I've seen the whole world thousands of times. I wasn't thinking about the payment. I already got the payment. The payment is, well, and it's not, I don't know, I don't know if that's not necessarily a bad thing. Within the US, this society is solely based off of capitalism. So it would make sense. However, that's just not my trajectory. And furthermore, I'm never limited by money. Money never limits me. I've encountered individuals that, well, maybe, but most people are controlled by their thoughts. And I don't know who they is that you're speaking of. Money is a thought, it's an energy, it's a thing, it's a presence. It's not, that's a whole nother speech. However, yeah, but maybe that works for them. Maybe that does work for them. It is necessary in some aspects of life. I understand that. Okay, yeah. I'm going to get back to, as I was speaking about that. I have a different knowledge of money because I was taught money from a very, very early age. And most people, not most, let me take that word back. There are individuals that are afraid of it and afraid of not having it, which is a very difficult space to be. Because when I say afraid of money energy means, I don't know if I can handle it. I've seen people in my life who can't handle it. I'm not worthy of this much. I can only do this much. I can only trade my time for it. There is that cycle as well, and not fully understanding it. There's a lot of people in the world that are quite happy with whatever they have. So I wouldn't, sure, absolutely. Most of the world does not operate on the monetary income that the average American has. And sure, Curry, if that's your belief, that's not my belief, but I can understand how that can be a belief. It's a tool. When I speak of money, I speak of how I identify money. Money is a tool for exchange. Money does not add to me or take from me. Money doesn't add to my value as a person or take from my value as a person. Money flows freely to me, so I don't hoard it. Money is solely just a tool for exchange of a good or service. That's it. And I'm comfortable with it. I'm safe with it. I know it. I understand it. I've been taught credit and the system of money since I was like 6. My dad was in finance. So maybe my knowledge of money allows me to feel it and see it differently. I see how quickly individuals sometimes change when they feel they're not of value for money, or how quickly personalities may change when they feel that there is the energy of money next to them. And most people can be coerced pretty inexpensively. However, for me, however, money in abundance is, I personally don't use those as an interchangeable thing, because abundance is everything. Abundance is financial abundance, it's time abundance, it's health abundance. However, I can understand how that could be used as that. And For me, the traveling aspect was just it. I'm here to see the world. It doesn't matter about my payment. I already know how to use money, so I can finagle money however it comes. The fact that I can live outside the country and I've seen the whole world thousands of times, thousands, where most people will save their whole lives to make that one trip to somewhere like Paris. I've probably been to Paris 3,000 times outside of my living situation in Paris. No one has actually came and thrown physical money on me. No, if that's what you're implying. But if you clarify it, I can possibly answer differently. However, the information that I have, how my brain has been expanded because I was on the go. Spinning, of course, yeah, because I spin that way. So anyone around me would spin that same way. And also, my father did the same thing. So I don't, sure. All of them. There's not a favorite. That's too limiting to me. It was always more than something as limiting as financial gain. Me learning languages, me having friends in so many countries, me being able to experience, not read, because there's a difference, experience different social structures, different gender constructs, different health systems, different religious aspects, all of these things constantly. And it's great to read it in a book, but it is very different to actually experience the culture several times, daily. That expansion is beyond anything that money would ever offer me. So, I can't be bullied. Yeah, that was most of my entire adult life. And I have a post about how it became somewhat, I became somewhat ostracized from friends or childhood friends because I was really in a different place, country, all daily, weekly. And so whatever your news cycle isn't the news cycle that I'm hearing while living in London, or the news cycle while I'm in Tel Aviv, or the news cycle when I'm in Senegal, or the news cycle when I'm in Ireland, or the news cycle when I'm in Greece, or the news cycle when I'm in Iceland, or the news cycle when I'm in Colombia, or the news cycle when I'm in Japan. I've been everywhere. So it has given me more than anything financial could offer. Sure, yeah, of course I miss it. But then that thought goes. That's and thank you for asking that, because it's not something that is a constant. It doesn't stop me in my day and say, oh, do I miss? I still travel often. Do I miss it? Sure. Sometimes I'll see something and the thought will come and then it goes. That's all. That's okay. That happens. But it's not a feeling that just keeps me from living. If I truly love something, to walk away for me proves the love that I had. And yeah, it was more than fun and exciting. It was yes, I have. I wouldn't go, though. I would not go to Cancun is not somewhere I would go. I would go to somewhere less touristy. I have been to Cancun, but I typically wouldn't go. In fact, I would not go now. I used to go to the rainforest on the Pacific side for like a month. but I don't go to anywhere touristy. I typically won't go to anywhere where there's a lot of Americans in hotels because I want the experience of the country. I don't care to be in places that are built purely for tourism. I categorize myself as a traveling local, not a tourist. I will go and just speak Spanish the whole time and get around. I would not go to a place like Cancun, and I have been. So, when the bully in our mind, the bully at the school, the bully what country, I don't know, all of them. All of them. They all resonate in some way. I'm not limited. There may be, I don't know, 20 that I can say that do. But the most, yeah, here's the thing. I'll round up 60 countries. It's difficult for me to categorize it in that way because often I was there so much that I wasn't always conscious of that feeling. I know places that I resonated with, but I never even thought, what is my favorite? I have some that I really appreciate. I love Dakar, Senegal. I would go to Senegal several times in a year, and I would go all the time for my birthday. And there's several countries in West Africa that I enjoy, but I still wouldn't even say that is my favorite. I find a favorite of something everywhere I go. It may even just be a restaurant or music or the smell or the company that makes the bottled water or the color of the taxis or the murals or their approach to gender. There's so much when I'm somewhere else. And yeah, this is why sometimes, yeah, of course. Australia, very cool. Yeah, very, very cool. I do like warmer places, I can say. I do like warmer places, although I really like Iceland. I love the social structure of Iceland, and I have actually looked into moving there because it's I enjoy the social structure. It's extremely safe, and their education is top tier. So, in closing, here's the thing. I'll have at least 4 homes around the world. I will not limit myself. This is a running theme. I will not limit myself, okay? You have the different places to go during the different times of year. So, when that bully is encountered, especially within oneself, fight it. Say, nah, not today. Today, it's not happening. Today, the bully needs to say bye-bye. Because today I'm standing up with myself. I'm standing up for myself. I'm standing up because of myself. No, I won't. And this is to you, Curry 23. No, can I? The answer is no. And that's how you have to encounter the bully. How I just said, no, this stops today. No, absolutely not. You ask me a question, I give you an answer. If you're trying to bully me, you picked the right day, because absolutely not. No, not happening. Not anymore. Refuse. Stand up for yourself. Stand up because of yourself. Stand up with yourself, and then share it. Because other people, everyone's going through some sort of bully experience. And we can learn from each other. And you can see my beautiful hair from this profile. However, I'm not, turning to the side. And that's how you got to speak to anything that's coming up against you. Yeah, we're all going through something. We're all going through something. All of us. And you never know. You never know. I'm going through something. Believe it or not. And I'm still going to show up empowered. I'm still going to show up saying, yes, I can, and yes, I will. And I see it for you too. So stay empowered. Allow the bully to have its last day. And thank you, as I do. I'm graceful, I'm clever, I'm charismatic. I know all of this. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the heart. And do it with style. Do it with style. Like today, my earrings are the bird of paradise. So I see myself as just floating through, not floating, like a beautiful flower. And I've been empowered by this. I appreciate you too, James. I'm empowered with this. Every time I come on to speak, it was a little bit later today. I will still come back on. I'm actually making a list, and I'm going to do a little grocery shopping and then come back and get back on. And I'm a big list maker, so I do make my lists before I go, especially grocery shopping, because I like to just go get what I need. And thank you. Yeah, tonight I'll be updating more of YouTube. Sure, yes, I would be happy for you to do that. You can go to my link in bio and Venmo me or Cash App me. Sure, absolutely. I would absolutely love that. Otherwise, I'll do it myself. However, I told the story about the gentleman. Okay, so I've closed off my speech for today, but I told the story how I was impressed by the gentleman who I was at Whole Foods. And he was like, Hope, you are so cool. I just like talking to you. Grab a basket. Get what you need. I'll take care of it. I said, you know what? That is like the best thing that a man could do to start a conversation. If you saw me in the grocery store, absolutely. Yeah, I will gladly accept. Gladly. And it's a great way to leave an impression because, thank you, because a lot of mofos ain't saying nothing. And as a kid in a candy store said, I'm a work of art. I know it. So for you to say, excuse me, let me do this for you, that ain't doing anything. Make yourself stand out. If not, I'm going on. My life is great. I'm building things for myself. I love myself. I have a great foundation. If you cannot stand out, and if you aren't helpful in that way, and groceries are always helpful, then what are we doing? What are we doing? Just say, I like you, you're pretty great. I know that. Thank you. Appreciate it. But I'm trying to go through the aisles to get my rice and everything else. What you blocking me from my food tonight? What you doing? Besides that, I just go and get a lot of dry stuff when I go grocery shopping because I shared with the others on my live. I barter with a lot of people on the island here in Hawaii. So there's people who allow me to pick from their farms free of charge, whatever's blooming. And then I cook every day. So whatever I cook, I come and bring them something, and that's our exchange. So like rice and all the dry stuff, I go and get from the grocery. However, all of my fruits and vegetables are from the island. They're all from the island. I only ingest what's on the island. Listen, I'm not the one to ask. You got to be creative and you got to stand out. However, I'm kind. I'm not going to say get out of the way, but I'm not. I've said this before. I attract what's for me. So I'm never looking. I'm never looking. And I trust what I feel. I don't know. I don't know. That's for you to figure out. I don't know, but groceries is always a good start. So, I'll be back on in a few hours because I do want to run to the shop beforehand. However, I am encouraged. I'm really encouraged. And thank you for showing up, because when you show up, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. There goes my roses. I love it. 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 And yeah. So maybe when I show up tonight, I'll do it from the kitchen and I'll cook, because I cook amazing things. I do. However, I'm going to go now because it's time to restock the cabinets. I love you all. Be the reflection of love that you are, because you are infinite love. And be encouraged and be hopeful, because I am. I'll see you later. Ciao.